So I will say this is Jeff.
This is David.
Hi, David.
Hi, Jeff.
We're playing Fire Emblem Heroes.
Yay!
This came out recently. It is a free-to-play mobile game.
Yay.
We'll be playing the Android version. I'm sure it's the same as the iOS version. This game is actually very fun. It's technically speaking the second Nintendo... Third, there was another one. There was like an app. I'm going to say like the second published game by Nintendo on mobile devices. The first one was Super Mario Run. But that one technically didn't come out first for Android. So this is the first Android game that Nintendo published and released. Because for some reason, Super Mario Run is still not out. Either way, this is better than that.
Right.
Even though I haven't played it. Because this is...
This is Fire Emblem. This is one of my favorite video game series of all times because this is like, do you like numbers? We can make numbers almost pornographic for you.
Yes, exactly. There's a lot of numbers that go up, and it's fun to see numbers go up.
Oh, yeah.
So there's two different main ways to play the game. You can play the game and have fun, or you can min-max.
Right.
Now, if you enjoy doing that, go for it. So it's a free-to-play game, and the reason that they get money from you is for buying... I don't know, they just call them orbs.
Oh, that's rich.
It's your generic... this is the kindly priest that I rolled.
This is Riss. I know who Riss is. Thank you.
He's super... Not OP, but anything that you have at the beginning of the game that's 4 or 5 stars is going to be extremely much very better. So
there, yep, that was a meism you did right there.
Yeah. I was interpreting it in your own language so that you would understand more quickly.
Thank you. So I love the Fire Emblem games a lot. I have played up until the Wii.
You will probably recognize a lot more of this game than I will. Because
I probably will. I've played up through the Game Boy Advance games, is what I should say. Like, I've played all of them.
So I'll get through the free-to-play hook. People probably, I don't know, I was interested to know what it is you actually pay for. It has a stamina system, so harder missions take more stamina, and it charges like 1 stamina every 5 minutes.
So it's like Brave Exvius.
Yeah, that kind of thing. I mean, I played it for like an hour or an hour and a half at a time, and then we'll be out, and I'll be like, okay, I'm good, I'll just play later. But whatever, I digress.
Yeah,
it's a gashapon system.
Yeah,
where you just go and you put in your random selection, and it gives you heroes from every single Fire Emblem game. Because the main setup is that you're in the meta Fire Emblem world, where the heroes, the Council of Heroes, and like the evil empire, they're trying to... One of them can open portals to worlds, and the other one can close them, and the ones that are closing them are not. Instead, they're invading and enslaving heroes by using contracts. So you just go to different worlds that are just Fire Emblem games, and then this has the, the heroes, the named characters from it.
So it is Brave Exvius. All right.
Yeah, it's the basic setup, except that the gameplay is good because it's Fire Emblem.
Which is awesome.
And you can just, I was really looking for a good turn-based RPG that I could just play on my phone.
Yep.
Because it's a perfect genre for the phone.
All right, so let's see how this stacks up with normal Fire Emblemness.
It's pretty. I really like the art. Each of the characters you get, you can tap on them to get a few voice samples. You can. Each one has 4 different, not animations, but 4 pictures. So there's like default, attack, critical, and then near death. And it gives you... The game is well designed because basically anywhere on the screen, if you don't know what a thing is, you can just tap on it and it'll just tell you. I also like the fact that Fire Emblem is deterministic and not random.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's some randomness, but you know all the numbers.
You know that it's not your damage values are not random.
No. Your damage,
your level ups will be random. That kind of thing.
Your 2-hit is like they do a roll to see if you hit, but you know all the numbers. They're all displayed for you. That's the beauty of Fire Emblem.
Which makes it a much better tactical game because you can tell immediately how something is going to resolve and whether or not you want to go for it.
Exactly.
Keep the weapon triangle in mind.
Hey, the weapon triangle. It's been in every game. I think.
It's very important to remember. It's also super useful to have in the corner because...
I mean, sword beat axe, axe beat spear, spear beat sword. I don't know what's hard to remember about that.
It would be nice if that weapon triangle were also in the before fighting section. There's plenty of times I was like, sword is the thing I want, and then
No,
it wasn't.
I mean, maybe it's because I've played like 8 or 9 of them, but still.
Eventually you just know.
Do they have the magic triangle as well?
Yeah, the colors apply to magic as well.
Okay, so fire beats wind, wind beats...
Well, just the colors. The colors beat the colors. So even red magic will beat green axe characters, or it'll do bonus damage.
Okay.
And it shows you that with the up arrow,
different.
down arrow.
That's different from the last ones I played, but yeah.
So I guess it's a little bit simplified. There's a smaller. You can only have 4 units at once. Which is
way different, yeah.
Yeah, the screen is only as big as the screen is. So there's not like scrolling across to see like huge battlefields. Also, there is no separation between move and attack. So you make one movement.
That's
so
different.
if you want to attack at the end of your movement, then you will, but you can't. So you can't split up. Different. You can't split up your actions.
No. It is. You move and then you do something at the end of your move, and that's it. That's what it's been. Unless you're cavalry.
So you can't.
Okay, so you can't do that with this one.
Yeah. When you click a character, they'll do basically one thing. Okay. You can have them move and then attack, move only, or attack only. But you can't. The only reason I say that is because you can't like move once and then reposition another unit and then go back and use the rest of the turn. So that's just the way it's designed.
Right.
And you have your 3 basic attacks. You have your attack, which is you move onto an enemy and it does your attack. The shield icon is your shield ability, which is if you move onto an ally. And then the third symbol there is your special move, which activates after doing a certain number of actions, so that the next time you attack, it does the special move.
All right. Well, I see the AI's hatred of healers and squishies is still into effect.
So, if you want to min-max, if that's what you're into, the game is free, so there's not really any reason not to do this if this is what you want to do. When you randomly get heroes, they have a rarity value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 star. And if you want to promote units from one rank to the next, you have to get them to level 20, and then you have to put a bunch of items into them. That's the kind of free-to-play thing that's not really going to work out if you want to bring a character up. So what you really need is just, random chance to get characters that are better.
Right.
Which you can do by just deleting your data and going through the intro again. Because it always starts you with your basic amount of summoning crystals,
right?
And if you use an Android emulator, you can just do that automatically,
right?
So like the one I'm using is Nox, and you can even do multiple instances if you're like I said, if you really want to do that, you can.
Right.
So you can just re-roll until you get like a 5-star like top tier character. Because there's also an arena mode where you fight. It's asynchronous. So you go up against someone else's team, but the AI controls their team. And because there's so many characters and it's a random draw, and each of them have star ratings, it's not balanced. There are better characters. So like a 1-star character of Marth or something is demonstrably weaker than a 5-star version. So it just has stat growth is worse and access to skill lists is worse.
But promoting them adds a star to them?
Yes.
Okay.
So you have to, if you get them up to level 20 and you put in the right, free play, whatever items into them, then they promote to the next star ranking. Each star ranking has its own specific skill list, and it'll tell you on the character what you get at what star ranking.
Right.
So Riss the priest here, he's a 4-star.
Yep.
So he is significantly better than everything in this first part of the game, because I was just rolling a new on the emulator here, just rolling a new game, and I just was like, all right, we'll see whatever I get, and then I'll just play with that. And then I might have gotten this guy into a corner, so that all you can do is attack the bow user that can't counterattack, so I can just repeatedly use healing spells.
Is there equipment degradation in this one?
There is not.
Okay, well that's...
you don't have equipment.
Ooh, he got an attack! Alright, sorry.
So you only have... I'm being a little cheesy here.
Yeah, well,
I did spend a little while just healing on guys. Now, there's diminishing returns, so even if you're using a healer, using the same healing ability, I think it's like after 8 to 10 times, you don't get experience anymore.
Okay.
But you can kind of goose it a little bit.
Right.
There is no equipment degradation. You don't equip your characters with anything. It's only skills. Right. So on their skill list, they'll have like Iron Sword as a skill. So when you unlock that skill, they just have an Iron Sword now as their attack.
Okay.
So it's more conceptually, it's just you have an attack, a defend, and a special command per character.
Oh, all right.
The Askrins versus the Emblems.
Yep. Is there a princess or royal member of the family you're protecting from a sudden war that happened between two relatively peaceful before that nations?
No, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess technically Alphonse is the prince of the kingdom that you're allied with, and also, yes, we're gonna pick up his sister as another default unit.
Cool.
But they're fighters, and then there's the spoiled brat, princess queen of evil empire that's bored and just going around causing trouble to alleviate her boredom, that kind of thing.
Right.
There you go. There's your story.
Well, I mean, it's a Fire Emblem game. They've got like 3 stories, so.
Yeah, 3 kinds of stories.
Well, no. All right. Let me be fair. They have one story. They just tell it in different ways, and like some of them are really good. I'm. Excuse me. I'm noticing like. So there are differences that bug me a little bit with how things are displayed, but I mean, there's a lot less screen real estate, so that makes sense. But everything seems pretty on par with a Fire Emblem game.
I've only played Awakening.
Right, which I haven't.
Like, that's technically the only one before this I've actually played. And this seems pretty on point with getting the spirit of it down.
Right. So are the level ups determined the same way? Like essentially, the character has a % chance of getting something every level up, and then they just roll to see if they get it.
I assume that is the case. I don't know the exact numbers under it, but yes, there are definitely good and bad level ups.
Right. Well, that character's designed.
She sure is.
Since I really stopped playing during the Game Boy Advance games, I guess I fell off as far as like how detailed the designs went, because like the big thing for the GBA games that I loved was the sprite work. Character portraits I didn't really care one way or the other, but
all the character portraits are super anime.
Yep. I mean, that's always been the case.
That's always
just
been
how
the case.
detailed
This is not like a change.
this stuff was, yeah. And characters got more detailed based on how important they were.
She is just a 1-star. But yes, flying units are in. They're weak to bows, as is tradition.
And green magic?
And green magic, if she's a... That just depends on the color.
Okay. So they're not weak to wind anymore?
No.
Okay.
In this case, the color is more important than the icon type. So she's green, which means that... Pretty sure that means red magic will get the damage boost.
So can you recruit these people?
These are people that you could get from your sort of random drop.
Okay.
It's like any of the characters that have named portraits, and you can click on them, and it'll tell you, what game they came from.
Let's go.
Okay.
There's also just generic units. It'll just be like Pegasus Rider. Obviously, don't pick those guys up.
Right.
In the actual story mode of the game, you only pick up like the new characters for the game. So there's a small handful of Anna, Reg, I think, Virion, Alphonse, and then his sister, whose name I forget. So there's like your default units. They're the storyline units. There are special maps that are like, timing based. So like it'll last for a few days and then it'll change.
Yes.
Which is a different mode for special maps, and those will get you a 1 or 2 star version of a specific character that'll just go into your, unit pool. But for the most part, if you want to get more and better, you have to just get orbs and then roll the dice to see what pops out.
Is there permadeath in this game?
There is not.
Oh.
It's fine. Permadeath was never good in Fire Emblem.
No, permadeath is great in Fire Emblem. It's one of the things that I like the most about it.
In Fire Emblem Awakening, there are, since you can pair up units and then eventually their children become units, there's like 700 billion combinations of dialogue for all the potential pairings.
Yep.
Which is a localization nightmare. But good job, A4. I guess. But the point is that in that game, because you can just reload, permadeath makes no sense in a game where the only thing that happens if your character dies is you just miss out on the content. It doesn't, if, because I've had this argument with someone before about Fire Emblem, if there was separate dialogue for after a character has died, where people react to it, then it would be worthwhile.
I mean,
of course, that's even more complicated.
That was the case in some of the Fire Emblem games.
Okay, well, in that
the
case, then that's
scenes were
fine.
changed based on if the character was in them or not. Now, for some of the scene changes, it was lazy, and there wasn't a real big difference, but at the same time, some of it was, meaningful, like when this character is like, well, both of my brothers are dead, so I don't want you to die, so this is why I'm picking up the bow, versus I'm going to protect you guys because I don't want you to die, versus Boyd died, I don't want you to die too, please let me help. Like, that was meaningful.
See, that's fine. That I appreciate that, but for me, it seemed like it was just like, okay, well, that person's not there anymore, so just turn off permadeath and just use them in the next battle.
Right.
So.
I also found it to be because I hate the units dying in any case. Now, depending on how bullcrap I think the
the rolls were
right,
so
Intelligent Systems, the company that makes Fire Emblem,
and
their AI cheats, just openly, like flagrantly cheats in a lot of ways,
which I guess for the most part is fine because it's also flagrantly exploitable.
Right. It's just if like in Fog of War maps, which is where it's the most obvious.
There are no Fog of War maps in this.
Okay,
because you always see the full board.
Right. So in Fog of War maps, the enemy can always see you, even if you can't see the enemy. Also, like the point of a lot of enemies in the games is not to make story consistent decisions; it's to dick you over. Like that's how they work. So, like a thief who is not associated with the enemy you're fighting with will still run through all of the enemies, grab the stuff, and run away, even though the enemy should try to stop them. Like, there's a lot of things like that. But I enjoy that about... Sharina is her name. I enjoy that about Insys games, just because you do know that they are going to be...
Sharina is so much better than the other starting units. Just use her all the time.
Because she's 2 versus 1 star?
No, the starting units you get are 2 stars. The reason that she's much better is because she has rally attack. She starts with it, so that you can just give +4 attack to someone. That is so useful.
So is something I didn't notice in this game is the attack speed thing still super important, where if your attack speed is higher than theirs by a certain amount, you hit them twice? Yep. Okay, good.
It is speed difference of 5 determines double hit.
Okay. Well, speed difference or attack speed difference?
Speed difference. You only have 4 stats.
Okay.
4 primary stats. It's your attack, which determines physical and magic attacks depending on the character. Speed, which is only for determining if you do double attacks or not. And then defense, which is like not quite flat, but an almost flat reduction in physical damage, and then resistance, which is flat reduction in magical damage.
So, question. Attack speed was never necessarily... Well, no, sometimes it's a listed stat. But attack speed was essentially, for a while it was, weapon weight, or speed minus weapon weight is your attack speed. Or other times it was speed minus weapon weight if constitution is less than weapon weight kind of thing. Does that make sense?
That stuff it's been stripped away from this since there's no encumbrance. The individual weapons are not items; they are skills.
Skills, right?
Yes. And so you have all of the relevant stats are in the top bar when you click on a unit. I actually like this a lot because I feel like it's much more.
Yes.
It's much more obvious what each of them do.
Right. Well, I mean,
and having a high number in any of those is very good in specific situations. Although speed is probably the best.
Speed is still the god stat forever and always. It will be. Because. So in some of the games, speed was like essentially speed is your dodge chance, your double attack chance, your it contributed to a bunch of things. I think those were the two big ones.
Enemy or movement is determined specifically by class, which is per character. So
right. Your
cavalry units have 3. Foot soldiers have 2, but can go inside forests, but they only 1 if it's in a forest.
Shall we?
And heavy armored units can only move in 1.
Okay.
And then your flying Pegasus units can go over things, except for like high walls, which they can't go over. So that's your basic thing. But you don't have, unless there's specific skills. There's probably a billion skills I haven't seen that changes your movement. You're not going to be able to like get enough of a speed bonus to like change movement. So speed is there's no dodge or crit. So your attacks are effective 100% of the time, or they do no damage. So if you can't get past their defense, then it'll just do no damage.
So there's no crit.
There's no crits either. So what crits used to be have been changed into the special moves that have cooldown countdown things. That's that third pink slot underneath the shield.
Right.
So like Anna there has a Night Sky attack, which is a 4 attack cooldown. So after you do 4 attacks, the next attack is Night Sky, which is 50% damage bonus.
Let's go.
Okay.
And that's the little number underneath the icon in the upper left of the individual characters. So like, what's his doodle there? Riss.
Right.
I forget what his special is, but it charges
Imbue.
after just 1 more. Yeah, Imbue. Yeah, so it's only 1 cooldown, so it basically means that every other heal you do has the Imbue plus 10 bonus on it.
Okay. So
But
that's
it's
how
not-
they get around him
Yeah.
not having different staves.
As you will.
Correct. I like this better because it's not... I like things that are deterministic because it makes for a better strategy.
Well, I don't mind critical hit and player skills like being a thing because the math that determines whether or not they fire is still readily available. It's
Let's go.
like in the GameCube Fire Emblem games, like whether or not a skill would activate was like the math was there. You could see what it was normally. The numbers were all available. Like whether you're going to get a critical hit was also a part of that. And critical hits were so powerful that it was a massive game changer, and it was a risk-reward thing, but you always knew what the risk was. And it was a less dangerous thing than you thought it was with the GameCube games, the ones after that had true hit, where it rolled the hit die twice. So it was almost effectively a higher hit rate for you. I think it was for them too, but in any case, I like the idea of a critical hit that is dangerous for both sides, and you playing around it, and it makes some of the characters more effective glass cannons.
Sure. I can appreciate that sentiment, but I like knowing for sure 100% what the next attack is going to be.
Glad to help.
Which is why I preferred the cooldown, so you don't get a crit. You know that after this number of attacks, the next attack will just have a better damage value.
Right. Yeah.
This also means that you can't get lucky if you can't get through someone's defenses. You can get into a stalemate. You just have to surrender.
Okay.
So like if you do not have enough attack to get over their defense and they don't have enough attack to get over your defense,
Onward.
then you literally can't kill each other.
We will
It's just a no-win situation. So yeah, what I'm saying is that there's no, at least in these starting units, there's no like defense ignoring attack or something like that.
Right.
But there's like a billion characters in this game, so there might be some that's like, oh, this ignores defense or.
Right.
There's also dagger characters and
Thieves, probably. Well,
yeah, I guess they're thieves, so they use daggers. You don't steal
thieves
things.
and assassins. Well, because there's nothing to steal, right?
Yeah, there's nothing to steal. So their purpose is their weapons do stat debuffs on hit. So
that's a fun idea.
When they hit, it always does like a -2 defense, -2 resist, or what have you. Same thing with like Virion, this archer you start with. He pretty quickly gets the ability to do speed debuff on hit, which is good.
Right.
It's a good ability.
Yeah, it's one of the most important stats. Yeah.
It's very important. You also notice there's an ABC in the upper right corner.
Yep. That's social links.
No, those are your passive buffs.
Ah, okay.
You can have one passive for each category, A, B, and C.
Right. I guess you can't grow, not social link. I cannot remember the name of it. Is it social link? It's your relationship level with other people.
No.
In some games, it was you just have to spend a certain number of turns next to them, and in some of the games, it was you have to fight so many battles with them.
Yeah, the relationship stuff has been cut out of this game as well. So
Which
you don't
makes sense.
You don't have affinity between units.
Right.
There is no carrying or aid stuff.
Right.
That's
no
kind of
shoving.
been rolled. That's been rolled. No, all of those abilities have been rolled into those defense skills. So you might have a trade places defense skill where you walk up to a unit and then they go back and you take their place, that kind of thing. But that's determined. It's all based on skills you have. There's old Donald with his stupid hat. Stupid little bucket.
Yeah, I that's from a game I haven't played, I guess.
That's one of the only characters I recognize. It's from
Awakening. Yep.
Yeah.
Those supports. That's what those are called. Yep.
These particular maps are much harder because they have specific win conditions. This one I can't actually beat because the victory condition is 4 survivors, so you can't have any of your units die.
Yes.
And eventually, spoilers, this particular battle gets into a place where I can't make any moves without one of my characters dying. So I just end up surrendering, but
Shall we?
My turn.
spoilers. That's also because these characters are like level 1.
Right.
It would be very easy to do the harder. So the harder difficulty ones on the special maps are usually level 15. They take about 10 stamina.
Let's go.
Those give you 2-star versions.
What
of
is
the
your max
specific
stamina?
character. Max stamina. It's 50, I think.
And does that grow as you play?
I don't know. I mean, there might be like some thing in the store that makes it. I know you can like buy stamina potions, and you get stamina potions for like playing the game during the launch month or something like that.
Right. And you're doing this on an emulator, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, this is also on an emulator, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
But you can also just reset your data if you want to do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh, okay.
It's like if you reset your data, you obviously reset everything you have, but you go back to where you started. That's what I say, where you can cheese it by just like doing scripts to like get 5-star versions of characters you want. I feel like that's not fun for me.
That's not fun, and it's not in the spirit of the thing. Yeah.
It also makes the actual sort of single player content much easier.
Right.
Because your 2-star heroes that you start off with are approximately equal with the forces that you're fighting. And even their growth is faster than the progression of the main campaign if you're using them, correctly.
Right.
But if you have like 3, 4, and 5-star heroes, that their stats are just better and their abilities are just better, you can like solo some of them probably.
Except your 4-star guy is a healer, so
It's still pretty good.
yeah, healer's super important. But
I mean, he does get the ability to use an attack spell.
So, wait. Oh, light spells, right? So when you're
assault, they just call it assault.
Right.
So it's a I guess a non-elemental. I'm not sure how it figures.
Well, light spells were, depending on which game it was, they were just, non-elemental, because you had light and dark, and they just kind of, like, sometimes they counteracted each other, but sometimes just like, they're just kind of, they're just outside, don't worry about it.
So you go through the story missions, you have, dialogue scene, fight thing, get a new story mission.
Hey, Jagan's super important. Do you know why Jagan's super important?
Why?
Because there is a character type named after him in all the Fire Emblem games. It is the pre-promoted character you get early on that you can use as a crutch, but if you use them as a crutch because they have horrible stat growths, you're kind of screwed. So don't use them unless you want to take their weapons away and let other people hit them for a while.
Now, on my phone, I did get a 4-star Jagan, and he's pretty dope.
Okay, I'm saying what he was originally.
Sure, the concept of a Jagan.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Though that one's spelt differently, so maybe it's, different. I don't know. But,
yeah, he's a cavalry unit, and he has,
that looked like Jagan, however
No, that is him. Yeah, okay. It's Jagan. I got a 4-star version of him randomly. He's super good, because cavalry can move 3, they can't move through forest or whatever.
Right. Which is, they have reduced movement in forest and desert tiles in the regular games.
Yeah, in this, they just interpret that as, you can't go there.
Right. I see that you're beating the snot out of Marth, as is appropriate.
Yeah. As is tradition.
Yeah.
I'm gonna blow him up with my priest because I think that's funny.
Yeah, he deserves that. No, he's not the
reason
worst
Jagan
hero.
is good is because he has super high resist and he gives passive resist to people that are next to him.
Ooh, that's nice.
So he gets the ability, the special ability of reduce projectile damage. So incoming bow stuff has been reduced. So he's just like a super tanky tank of tankiness.
Yep.
And Mark just got blown up by
an old bald white man.
An old man. Yep. Old man.
Yep.
The ends of all these sort of cutscenes are the same, where it's the heroes are like, well, we are contractually magically bound to do what this other person says, but if you can beat us in a battle, it'll break the contract.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't get them.
Mm-hmm.
they don't get recruited.
Yeah. So this looks like a game I should start playing. I'd
recommend starting with so when you get your basic orbs, you can spend them all on rolling a random character. Maybe you'll get like a super good one. If you want to do that, sure, go for it. What I ended up doing, which I think I like more, is spend all of your first orbs getting the castle upgrades, so you get your 200% experience bonus.
Mm-hmm.
What that means, well, it's obvious what that means on the surface. You get more experience for your dudes when they do things.
Right.
But the hidden thing that does is it's the number of levels below your current level that you can still get experience off of enemies.
Oh.
So if you max out at plus 100% experience, you can still get experience off of dudes that are 4 below you, level-wise. But otherwise, you get nothing for attacking enemies that are less than that.
Huh. Okay.
It's still useful to have high-level characters, especially if you're training up low-level characters. You can just have them body block this kind of thing.
Right.
They just won't get experience for it, so it's more of an actual training situation.
Wow, your Reese is doing okay. Yeah. This is.
Yes.
I'm sure if I were a hardcore Fire Emblem has to be this kind of way purist, the changes here would offend me, but
My turn.
It's important not to be that way about anything that you like.
Right. And also, like, having played the earlier games,
I'll open the way.
they are good in their own ways, but some of them are just absolute bull hockey. Like, there's some things in them, it's just like, Thracia's 766 or 776 is just mean. It's a very mean game, and I'm glad they didn't continue hardly anything from the deviations in that going forward. But this seems like a really good way to balance out it being mobile and trying to make it a more casual kind of thing. Like in this setting, like the non-permadeath makes more sense, especially since like
there is still a penalty.
Oh, there is
for death. It's not obvious at first, but any experience accrued during that battle is canceled if the unit doesn't make it to the end of the battle. Which I was like, okay, that's fair, I guess.
Right. Okay.
So they go back to their pre-battle stats. They don't die, but that's where they end up.
Right. Okay. So it's not worth it to keep throwing your head against, throwing yourself against a wall, if it's not gonna do any good.
You can. It means that if you have to determine what it is you want to get from a battle. Oh, also you complete quests and then you get level up juice, which you can just put into units to have them auto level to a certain spot.
Wait. He went up 4 levels and got like 1 point in attack. Is that what I just saw?
Yeah, that's. I'm not sure. I think that it might be a trick using the level up juice.
I think. Okay, so
Look, I don't know the math.
Using the level
works.
up juice in all of the games has been different, from what I understand.
It seems like it might be bad here.
So it was the best thing in the second GameCube game, because it guaranteed you 3 stat boosts, and if you had maxed out all your stats except for 3, you would just get perfect level ups until you were. I think it was 3 stat boosts. Anyway, you would get perfect level ups until you were done. So
yeah, that sounds pretty good. I feel like this is a real crappy. You get crappy stats.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what was his name, Alphonse?
Yeah, Alphonse.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna pause this.
He is one of the new characters for Heroes.
It was with Alphonse, Fire Emblem, stat growths, because this already has to be published somewhere.
Maybe.
Let's see.
I have a lot of fun training up characters because once you unlock the training tower, which doesn't sound interesting at all, it's just different strata, and it's basically the random battle. So it'll tell you the average level of the enemy you're fighting, and it'll give you the color and weapon icons for them, but it won't give you any more information than that. And then you can just put together a team and go fight, and it's not randomly generated maps, but it's randomly picked maps with random stats and characters and placements and some other things like that. So that's fun to do. Those are the ones that will those are like your daily quests, I guess, where the first time you complete them each day you get an extra bonus, this kind of thing. There's quests for like basically your collection style quests where it's like kill this many enemies of this type. There's monthly quests, which are, reset at the end of the month. There are task quests, which is like beat this level with only 3 characters. There's just a bunch of numbers you can check off. Also, when you complete all of the normal quests for the month, it unlocks the hard quests, which have better rewards and are much harder. So it's like beat this level without using a archer and also on hard mode. So when you complete a story chapter, you get the previous story chapter unlocked in the next difficulty. And those are just, they have different color tiers, and it's basically the average levels of enemies are just, improved. So you can keep your, I think level cap is 40. Pretty sure that's what it is for your dudes. But yeah, I feel like it's pretty fun. There's lots of neat little skills. Everything's deterministic, and you just kind of drag your little dudes around the field. It's the first game I've played that had a number, because I tried Exvius, did not like it very much, and I tried the other one, which is better, but didn't capture my attention too much. The other Final Fantasy free-play game they put out, I forget the name of already.
Right.
Yeah, man, I just forgot it already. Some breath and some breath and
It's a dumb name. So
whatever. It was also well, we're not here to talk complain about Final Fantasy tropes. So back to strategy and technical RPG action.
Yes.
It's the first game I played where it has 1 billion characters, where the differences and advantages between them is obvious and like surfaced real easily to look at. Because you can
meaningful.
if you just like hold tap on a portrait, it brings up their sheet and you can just look at all of their base stats. You can see where they came from, listen to voice clips, look at the different art. It tells you the name of the person who did the voice acting and the name of the person who did the art. And then you can go to the skill list and it just shows you all the skills, what the skills do. And it makes it very obvious why something would be better than something else. Because there's a lot of free-to-play garbage that is just a mess of random icons and colors.
Yeah.
Korean MMOs.
I did what?
No.
What?
Wait, no, I said that wrong. MMOs. Just in general. It's just like where you just have like UI vomit, and if you don't already know what you're looking at, it's almost impossible to parse. Like, why is this bracket means it's a type of item, but the color means a separate thing. And then this skill is on cooldown, but this skill is on global cooldown. This one you can spam, but it has a second meter that counts up based on this other skill. Or like this currency you can convert into like silver, but like silver bars are used to get the free-to-play items, but you have to convert them into gold bars in order to get items in the game. But then there's like platinum, which you can get from like special. It's, just ends up being super confusing. The UI design on this is super nice. I will boil it down into one single point where when you tap on the screen, it has a little particle effect. And if you drag across the screen, it has a little particle trail that follows your little touch around.
That's pretty nice.
I was like, yeah, that's nice.
Pretty nice.
It looks good. It sounds good. It plays good. And it's fun to finish the point I was making earlier. It's a bunch of different characters that you may or may not be familiar with. But it's the first time that I played a game like this where I actually wanted to like try the new characters out and level them up and be like, this one not feeling, or this one is great, or this one is not. And you can just field different teams. The strategy layer is good enough to make some considerations. So, good times.
So
recommended. Also, it's free, so like you know, you don't even have to have a mobile device to play it, because you could just get an Android emulator or whatever
and
you just kind of
do that. Yeah.
Tap on it in the corner of your screen on your PC or whatever.
Well, I've been while you've been talking and I've been listening. I've also been trying to find the growth rates for characters, and I can't. So
that might be because it came out like 3 or 4 days ago.
Nope, that is irrelevant.
That is irrelevant. Okay.
No, it has more to do with just. No, it honestly is probably because it's relatively new, and it looks like it might just it might not have individual growth rates per stat. It might just be base or growth rates per character, but whatever. It's probably just like all the other ones, and it's just not known.
Well, that might be the case. I assume that if the growth rates were actually in the APK itself, it would have been decompiled already.
Right, that's true.
So I can only assume that means that the actual growth rates are probably server-side, because you do have to have internet connection to even like start the game.
Okay.
So I assume that it's grabbing a lot of that, which, I mean, that makes sense. I get it. It means they can change things if they need to, if they want to do like special events.
Right.
But also, it prevents some amount of cheating, I guess. You have server-side stuff.
Right.
But the only PvP stuff is asynchronous. And eventually it's going to... I mean, I did some arena stuff. It's fine. The AI is exploitable, just like it always is.
Yeah, right.
And it'll eventually end up just like, if you really want to get into that, it's going to be they'll just be tier lists, and it'll be like, oh, you have to just reroll until you get a 5-star this, and then you're fine.
Right.
Whatever. That doesn't sound particularly fun to me, but if you want to go for it, sure.
Well, that's because a lot of PvP in games is just not my cup of tea and not your cup of tea, honestly. So it's like people talk about the PvP in Dark Souls, and I'm like, why? Why do you care? Why do you care about the PvP in Dark Souls? Like, make it entertaining. I don't care if it's balanced. Like, what? Anyway.
Good times.
Good times.
It's nice to play a Nintendo game.
Yeah, it is. Especially like I'll play it, and it'll be the first one I've played since GameCube. I get no. I played 1,000 Year Door on your Nintendo Wii. That was the last time I played one.
All right.
So
I guess the last thing I played was Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on the Wii U.
there is
Bayonetta
that.
2.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have those things, so
I don't have those things anymore either.
you borrowed them, right?
Yeah, they were borrowed.
Yeah. Well, if you liked us talking about this game, which we are highly recommending, well, Jeff is recommending. I'm going to go play it and then probably recommend it.
Yeah, it's also my recommendation for David.
Yeah,
Because I know it's something you enjoy.
Yeah.
Not paying for something, and also a thing that you can play anywhere.
Right.
And also a thing that's Fire Emblem.
Yay! A series that I've said it a few times. It is the perfect marriage as far as I'm concerned of tactics and numbers getting bigger and a storyline and characters that are just good and likable enough to get me through. Though some of the stories and characters
Sometimes
actually
literally a perfect
legitimately
marriage.
Great. Huh?
Sometimes literally a perfect marriage.
Yes. But I will say, if you liked us doing this, if you like listening to our recommendation and us talking on and on and on about a game, feel free to go to our Patreon and contribute to us each month so that we can continue doing this. And if a monthly thing isn't something you feel comfortable or capable of doing, just a one-time tip jar kind of thing is just as good on our PayPal. This money goes back into the channel, so it's not like you're paying for our Ferraris. But if you do want to give us a Ferrari, I guess that's okay. I can't afford the insurance, but that would still be
First
fun.
of all, don't get a Ferrari.
Right.
If we're going to spend a bunch of money on like a super expensive car, I want an Aventador.
Oh, right.
Something that
Yes,
looks
yes.
nice. So, like Lamborghinis look nice.
Right.
Ferraris are fine.
I mean, yeah, you did get very acquainted with all these cars, so...
Or maybe a Huracan. That's fine too.
Right.
A Superleggera.
I don't know that one.
It's just another car.
Right.
Or even what the heck is the W Motors Lycan? That thing
What?
looks. Oh, let me see. I'm gonna send you. It's a W Motors.
Lycan? Like, does it look like a
Lycan.
werewolf? What?
It does not look like a werewolf, but it
Okay.
does look pretty awesome. Let me get a.
All right, let's see here.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna post it in chat. This is good. This is good podcast.
This is good
right here.
podcast right here.
Maybe I'll remember to post this
Ooh.
picture.
That is really nice.
That's the exterior of the Lycan Hypersport. The interior is actually awesome. Let me see if I can get a dash.
Oh wait, I think you may have shown me this one
think
when
I
you were
have.
talking about
Yeah,
like sports cars that you actually liked.
This one I remember worked on the car pack
Yes,
for Forza 6. The dashboard just looks like super awesome futuristic nonsense. Anyways, I digress.
Oh
But
yeah.
There's some nice looking cars. But we're not spending money on cars.
We're not spending the money on
we
cars.
don't have that much money.
No.
All right, Fire Emblem Heroes. It's pretty good. I'm gonna stop recording now because
All right.
I have to edit it. And that means I have to listen to everything again, which is like an hour long.
Yay! All right, I'm going to stop recording.